Gil thought that the Jagd spinner wasn't running away, but rather installing those wires. He wondered how it could do that so quickly. Then he discovered that the Jagd spinner was actually charging itself, which shocked him. He believed that they had all gathered together because of the force field, but that was their mistake, and they couldn't evade it. The Jagd spinner completed its charging and prepared to fire, but then stopped. Suddenly, everyone heard a sound and saw a horse approaching. Leon exclaimed to the horse that it had been a long time since they had last met, and that it was his old sworn friend. Then he mounted the horse, and they all listened to him speak about the courage to charge into a sea of enemies alone with just a horse, as he was the Leon who praised them. He bestowed upon them the glory of being received in his presence and the honor of a duel, granting them royal permission to fight him. Gil wondered if Leon was on some kind of crack. The Jagd spinner's railgun acceleration timing was established, generating 13% capacity. The threat level dropped to 0, indicating a simple organism, and the unidentified being's title was removed. Leon then drew his sword and urged the horse to run. As the horse picked up speed, the Jagd spinner fired its beam. Leon remarked that he was unaffected by cowardly long-range weapons. He charged towards the beam's light to counter, and upon impact, they created a massive blast. Leon also moved forward to attack the Jagd spinner. At that moment, Jago Spinner's high-performance AI calculations ceased to function, unable to logically understand the phenomenon unfolding before it. The machine evaluated the situation and identified the weapon as an outdated joust. It recognized the speed but noted the limit to the impact it could inflict depending on its mass, considering the threat level to be 0. The machine concluded that the threat wasn't worth addressing and would be instantly neutralized by the railgun, making that its evaluation. 3 seconds prior, the organism's shout created a thin barrier and pattern that differed from the already recorded abnormal phenomenon and estimated scope. 2 seconds prior, there was a direct clash with the railgun's bullet. Based on the estimated scope, the follow-up impact should have eliminated the opponent even if they were to block it, but 1 second prior, the bullet was deflected. There was neither a clash nor any blocking, it was simply deflected, a skill easily wielded by the Knights Templar, akin to breathing, and a miracle possessed by humanity's strongest fighters, a means to enforce the rules of the world. Leon then invoked the divine law, bestowing the blessing of the arrow shield, believing it would reflect any long-range attack once. His attack struck the Jagd spinner, causing it to fall with numerous injuries that he wasn't able to analyze. Unable to comprehend the phenomenon, and with the enemy's threat level forcefully increased, the Jagd spinner considered leaving the battlefield. And just like that, the Jagd spinner fled. The Jagd spinner reached a place where it recalled the order to protect that area and not let anyone approach it. Rohit realized that his heavy arms were no longer underutilized. He had 5 regular bullets, 36 special bullets, and a temporary waste disposal and a sidearm 60mm heavy machine gun available, with 657 ammo, and there was a need to produce handmade ammunition. He also needed to resupply the wire cutter and inspect the joint for damage, which was severely unbalanced. He assessed the threat level as 5 and identified the model of weapons used by the enemies, commencing modulation. After taking action, he was thanked for protecting the city. The strategic modulation was completed, and mission resumption was possible. The scene then shifted to the Cheongju Sports Complex Gate, the heart of the city, Block B, where all the warriors were walking without lowering their guard. GM asked everyone to wait, and around 250 meters ahead, across the street at the building corner, a party of machine guns was observing, along with long-range dealers, carefully making their way to the building across from Jagd spinner. The rest were instructed to wait there and to distract them if they noticed their presence. As he looked behind him, he discovered that all of them had been killed by the wire. He was terrified to witness that sight, and then he sensed something behind him. Reacting instinctively, he attacked, slashing his sword, swearing that the Jagd spinner was there. Just as the wire cut the head of the man as well, he realized that the Jagd spinner had killed 5 of the warriors. Then he noticed a man running, pleading not to die. The Jagd spinner assessed that the remaining organism had been spotted, and the threat level was elevated to D. The fleeing man stumbled and begged the jagged spinner to spare his life, expressing his fear of death. The jagged spinner recalled a conversation from its past, where someone had asked if it would continue to protect the city even after they were buried there, destined to forever be a part of it. The jagged spinner processed this with its logical reasoning first priority, complete removal of the invader's second priority, protecting the city. The third logical reasoning also completed, involving autonomous evaluation, hacking logical reasoning, and decision-making, while logical reasoning and priority were forcefully altered. He ceased reminiscing, leaving the boy confused as the jagged spinner refrained from attacking him. The boy pondered whether the jagged spinner spared his life. Then, the jagged spinner leapt away. Soon after, Gil and the others arrived, and Gil inquired if the boy was all right. The boy responded affirmatively but mentioned feeling tired. Gil asked what had happened, and the boy explained that the jagged spinner had fled instead of killing him, possibly because it had seen them approaching and knew it couldn't win. Someone suggested that there might have been limitations on the jagged spinner as well. Gil observed that the place seemed like a cemetery, unlike other parts of the city, which they hadn't realized earlier. They noted it was the only clean area. The jagged spinner, by fleeing, calculated that the enemy forces had a 92% chance of winning, thus deciding to retreat. Gil remarked that it was an unpleasant place, urging everyone to leave, which they agreed to. The jagged spinner believed its priority was to protect the citizens, even in death. It then assessed that there were 49 enemies remaining, with its level 5 threat in good health, while level 3 had a likelihood of successfully removing its own threats at 35.7%. Back at its base, Leon arrived, mentioning his enjoyment with the commoners. Leon reveres chivalry, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say he embodies it. He despises cowardly ambushes more than anything else and seeks a fair fight. Leon then asks if the jagged spinner is ready. It was just a blast created by them. Leon understands that his opponent may not value fairness, but that's no reason for him to abandon his knightly morals. As the incarnation of chivalry, nothing can break his will, and this strength is what makes him the chosen one. He realizes he shouldn't expect honor from a machine. The jagged spinner checks its equipment. 480 bullets for the 60mm heavy machine gun and 4 wire cutters remain. Then, it starts firing. Leon thinks about the blessings of the arrow shield. The jagged spinner detects something unusual and uses its analyze function. Stray runs quickly around Leon and then fire shoots at him. Leon smiled and created a formidable shield around himself, shocking the jagged spinner. Just as Leon attacked with his sword, the jagged spinner dodged. Leon, mounted on his horse, charged with his sword ready to strike. The jagged spinner jumped to attack Leon, but found the situation incomprehensible. Leon remarked to Stallion that their enemy seemed to want to play hide and seek. The jagged spinner quickly moved to attack Leon, who used his powers to counter. Their battle caused numerous explosions throughout the city. The jagged spinner wondered how a human could move so quickly. Spotting a pole, the jagged spinner used it to gain support and launch another attack on Leon. Leon called Stallion, who stopped obediently. Leon remarked that the jagged spinner's performance wasn't bad at all. The jagged spinner leapt to attack again, but Leon dodged. After a few minutes, Leon and Stallion used a rock to propel themselves into the air and attack the jagged spinner. The jagged spinner, now with only 68 rounds of ammunition left, decided to use them all in a final effort. He used all his ammunition on Leon, but Leon seemed different, filled with rage, and continued advancing toward the jagged spinner. Leon struck the jagged spinner so hard that it was slammed to the floor, suffering lethal damage and surpassing its operational limits. The jagged spinner then recalled a past memory where someone warned that what was sealed should never be released. Protected by self-detonation protocols, it was programmed to detonate all explosives for landfill facilities. Suddenly, a massive blast occurred. When the jagged spinner opened its eyes, it found itself in a storage container smelling of oil. Someone called out to it, instructing it to go protect the city and fulfill its duty. Outside, a monster was wreaking havoc. The jagged spinner engaged the monster, driven by a single goal to support its allies and protect the city. The jagged spinner headed to the city, immediately defeating the enemies and becoming heroes. The tale of the unmanned tanks that saved the city from a hopeless state was a sweet story to the citizens who had been losing faith. These tanks became a symbol of hope, known as the Knights of Steel. A total of 10,253 units were remodeled, and they protected the city under command until there was nothing left to protect. A girl had once told the Jagdi spinner that it was her final request to protect the city and ensure that the thing could never leave. The remaining battle machine received its last order to prevent anyone from approaching the thing. It had prepared and protected countless times. Snapping out of his memories, the Jagdi spinner found Leon standing before him. Leon commented that the Jagdi spinner had fallen, but the blessings of the arrow shield had worked. Then he noticed a purple crystal and remarked that it must be the thing the Jagdi spinner was protecting, the jewel of wisdom, something that shouldn't exist. As the Jagdi spinner tried to move, Leon asked if it was still trying to fight and how long it had been protecting this place. He wondered aloud how long it would fight alone. Leon acknowledged the Jagdi spinner as a knight of devotion and loyalty, and expressed that all living beings across dimensions were indebted to the Jagd spinner for its service. Leon solemnly declared that his quest was completed. He did something to break the crystal, hoping the Jagd spinner could rest in peace. With that, the Jagdi spinner ceased to function, its mission finally over. Leon was walking with Kang, recounting everything that had happened. Kang responded, "So, Leon, you destroyed the jewel?" Leon asked, "Are you complaining?" Kang shook his head and said, "No, since you destroyed the Jagd spinner. It was also your right to do whatever you wished with the jewel." Leon reassured Kang, "Don't be disappointed. That jewel was poison." Kang was shocked to hear this. "Poison?" he repeated in disbelief. Leon explained that jewel was created by the evil of wisdom, designed to tempt humans. In other words, it was an item of a demon. Kang was shocked to hear this. Leon continued, "At first it grants one's wishes, but soon it starts demanding payment, like feeding a beast to tame it. It tempts humans with promises of eternal life, but it doesn't take long for one to lose their humanity and become a demon." Hi guys, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy the content.